All right, let's dive into this position. So it's been a while since I've done one of these, but this is a problem from the book The Best Move. It's a pretty classic book. If you get a chance to find it, I'd recommend it. It's like $100-something if you get it on Amazon, depending. Maybe sometimes the price goes up or down. So this one is white to move, and the question is white better, worse, or is white equal? Three options, not better, worse, but is white better, worse, or equal? And in this position, what should white play? So, we've got a classic dragon structure here. We've already got tension here on the H file. So we've got pawn v pawn. And we've got pressure on c2. So black is contemplating rook takes c2, queen takes c2, rook takes c2. Normally black is pretty happy to be able to capture on c2 if given the opportunity and pick up the queen for the queen and the pawn for the two rooks. I'm not sure if that's the case here. So can we play bishop to h6? Or can we play pawn takes h6? Of course, the defensive move is rook c1. So rook c1 is our resort move. That's the move we'd go back to if things aren't working out. And rook c1 looks very reasonable. There may also be rook h2. Sliding that rook up is also possible. Seems like a reasonable way to kind of cover c2. Black would still get the same material balance, but you'd get the open c file at the end of that. So let's take a look at the forcing moves. First, we have hg. If we play hg, of course, black is going to come down here and take on c2. Or not, of course. Black can take on c2. So if we play hg and black takes on c2, we can take on h7 or f7 with check. And that looks pretty good. We'd be pretty happy getting those powerful pawns, and even if we have to give up the queen in the resulting position, I think we're doing all right. Let's take a look at it a little further. After hg, rook takes c2, we continue on with our captures. We take on f7, I think. I like taking on f7 more than I like taking on h7 because black's resulting structure is really bad. And I feel like black has a little more to deal with because there's still pressure on h7. Then we're out of checks. Black may take our pawn or may ignore the pawn, but black will get out of check. Then it seems like we need to take on c2. Is that 100% true? I'm not sure that is true. I'm just wondering about moves like bishop d4 or queen d4 at some points. But this seems pretty fanciful. So we play queen takes c2. And then black's other rook gets into the game and trades down on c2. And we have to play king takes, I think. And after king takes, then the thing that's bugging me is that after all of that, black can bring the queen into e2 with check. And then our bishop is threatened along with the king. And that seems at least a little annoying. We can save both in response to a queen e2 check move with the move bishop d2. But after bishop d2, it feels like our position is really passive. And moves like queen takes f3 in the right case, and then queen or bishop takes on g4 feel like we're giving black too much. To sum up, I don't think I like our position so much after hg. I think rook takes c2 is just too strong for black. Part of the thing is that after rook takes c2, we're not just finding that our queen is being threatened, we're also finding that we're being threatened on b2. So let's keep looking. I'm wondering a little bit about bishop to h6. I think we'd be really happy if black traded on h6 and then took on c2. That I think would be a good day for us. I think the obvious question is, if we play bishop h6, what happens if black just chooses to take on c2? I would like to run with the queen, ignore that threat in some way, but I don't think it's possible to do so. I don't think we can take on g7 and sacrifice our queen in any way. I don't think we're getting enough there. Although, maybe that's not as clear as I'm intimating it is. So bishop h6, rook takes c2, bishop takes g7, rook takes d2. This is not feasible. It's very, very lost. The thing is, I don't believe in bishop h6, and I also don't believe in hg. But if we don't have one of those moves, I'm kind of curious, it's impossible not to wonder what's up in a puzzle situation. So we've got a puzzle here. There should be some solution to it, and all I'm finding is that I think we should just defend. We could do so with rook c1 or rook h2. Both of those moves make sense to me. I'd rather play rook h2, because in this particular case, I think that we're better if black chooses to go take on c2, queen takes c2, rook takes c2, rook takes c2. Black has enough material, but I don't see counterplay for black in that case. I feel like we're doing really well in that position. In rook c1 is fine. If we don't have either of those, then I just can't see that the active continuations hg and f and bishop h6 work. Maybe there's knight d4. Maybe knight d4 is possible. I just thought of something else, which is obvious, but is giving me pause in my evaluation of rook c1 as being fine. After rook c1, I feel like a5 happens really quickly, and I don't like that position very much. By the way, I haven't even mentioned that there is a pawn hanging. Bishop takes a7, but I really just don't want to take a pawn on a7, even if I can conceivably get that pawn, if I'm not mated or anything. I just don't want to open the A file. That's usually something you want to avoid in the dragon. Sometimes you can, but you're not thrilled. The pawn is not good compensation for the open A file. So let's look at knight d4 and then do a double check on hg and bishop h6, and then we'll move on. Knight d4. After knight d4, there's bishop takes d4, bishop takes d4, and then after that there's rook takes c2, and in that case I think white wins easily with queen h6. Like, queen h6 is just crunch time. You can block with f6 or something, but pawn takes g6 is mating. Absolutely mating. So knight d4 might be possible. That seems alright at first. Queen takes d5 is a response to knight takes d4 because we're interfering with our queen's defense of of d5. Maybe we have some moves like knight f5 there. I don't really believe it, because here knight f5, creating a discovery, allows queen takes d2. And if we do some kind of intermezzo to get our knight out of check, like knight takes e7 check, king f8 will hit our queen. So this is different than if the rook were on f8. If there were a rook on f8 still, I think we could play knight d4, queen takes d5, knight f5, queen takes d2, knight takes e7 check. I don't think we can do that here. So I think knight d4, I think it's met safely by queen takes d5, and I'm not sure what we're getting in return for our pawn. We could open the h file, just continue with hg, but I'm not really believing it, and we've lost not just a pawn, but an important central pawn. So e5 is on the table for black, things like that. In my opinion at this point, I'm not seeing bishop h6 working. I'm not seeing hg working out. I think that white should just play conservatively and safely and play rook h2, and I think that it's okay for white. White's still got coming play on the h file. I say okay. I think I like white a little better, but not a lot. I think white is better. And I think that the other lines are worse. I think black is better in all of those positions. So let's look at the solution. Let's see what Hort and Jansa say, the authors of The Best Move. So in this position, their evaluation is how best to combine attack and defense is the eternal question when flank attacks are in progress on opposite sides. You must have examined the position carefully before deciding that white is better. White solved the main problem to adequately protect c2 with the unusual knight move knight a1. That's worth 4 points with the evaluation that white is better. Much better than rook c1 when black continued with e6, and bishop e5 might have been more promising. And black's position was preferable. Let's take a look at an analysis engine and see if that bears that out. I did not consider knight a1 at all. I was aware that the move exists in response to like a5, a4, but it just did not occur to me to try this. So let's turn on our analysis engine. This is incorrect at the moment because it thinks black is to move. Just a problem with the PGN. Alright, so let's flip it white to move. And the analysis engine is confirming that knight a1 is the best move. Rook c1 is considered possible, but rook c1, a5 is the move that's recommended by the engine, preferable to e6, and it's liking black by a lot. Bishop d4 and knight d4 are not liked. Let's take a look at rook h2. The engine thinks that black is a lot better here. I thought this might be okay. G takes h5 is given as the problem. And after g takes h5, the problem is that bishop f5 is on the horizon. And that means black is winning more material, and that is a real problem. And if you take on g6, rook takes c2 is bad. It's worse than I thought. G takes f7 is preferable to the alternatives. King f8 makes sense. Queen takes, rook takes, king takes, queen e2 check. I didn't think this was as bad as lost, but I did not like it. Yeah, just queen takes f3, which is the move I gave. g4 is going, and when g4 goes, there's problems like, again, bishop f5. So this is a losing move. I did not do well solving this position. I thought rook h2 was better than rook c1, and I was wrong there. and I did not really consider the best move knight a1 at all. It was not on my radar. And that I spent too much time looking at moves that I really kind of knew were not good moves, taking on g6 and bishop h6. And I think I was being tricked a little bit by puzzle thinking. I think in a game I would have, given up on those moves like right away, and I spent too much time looking at them. I'm partially glad that I gave up on hg, ignoring the seeing through queen e2 and queen takes f3 stuff, but I didn't realize how bad it was. I thought it was worse for white. I didn't think it was losing. I have a tendency to overestimate two rooks for a queen, so that's an instructive moment for me and a good benefit of this exercise.